let's go to your emails, david@davidpakman.com. On the topic of Goldline executives being accused of fraud, it'll be fun to watch Glenn Beck trying to squirm his way out of this one and out of the fact that he was a Goldline shill for so many years, making millions off of his recommendations to all his God-fearing Republican fanboys to deal with Goldline. I agree. But I don't think Glenn Beck will really care. He'll stand by that it's a respectable company, won't he?
Or he'll just blame it on the greed of a few random people within the company. I don't know.
And taking money from the stupid should be a public service. The government could tax it as stupidity tax. Maybe that could be part of Herman Cain's 999. And maybe you should think about being a psychic, David, because you're right on a lot of stuff lately. It's just luck. I don't claim to have any supernatural abilities, no matter how strongly Lewis feels about the fact that those abilities exist.
Mm-hmm. I was going to make a comment about your hair and something supernatural, but I'll skip that.
On the topic of the Occupy Wall Street miscarriage allegations, the cause of a miscarriage can be identified if it's due to blunt force trauma. The policeman who kicked her should go to jail under the Unborn Victims of Violence Act. Well, you know what? A lot of information has actually been released since we did that story, alleging that even, I guess, the alleged victim's mom saying this girl has a long history of just making stuff up, and a lot of actual, what seems to be legitimate doubt being cast on whether this miscarriage even took place, and if it did, whether it was the result of being kicked by police. We don't know right now.
Right.
We just don't know. And on the topic of the Republican debates, the ongoing Republican debates, and Republicans not knowing anything about Africa, and Rick Perry saying Hezbollah and Hamas are working out of Mexico, I wonder if Perry knows that he's sitting in what used to be the Mexican Empire. I have the feeling he thinks Texas was ordained by baby Jesus in the 7-day creation myth. I don't know. I don't know if that's what Rick Perry thinks. I guess somebody should ask the guy. And, you know, this would be great fun all around if it weren't for the fact that one of these complete morons has a very real chance of becoming president of the United States of America. Yeah, I agree with that.
It's pretty scary.
It's all fun and games till the next George W. Bush is president.
Right.
I think that's what we can say. Today on the bonus show, we're having big stories on the bonus show, not the least of which are 5 sports people, 5 sports fans, rather, that I think are in great part responsible for some of the worst sports traditions, which we'll talk about. Also, Iran and Israel. Iran and Israel are getting closer to what some people may say would be an actual military battle. And I actually have some pretty straightforward questions that just aren't being asked. And maybe Lewis can answer them, given that he is half Iranian and his dad is actually from Iran.
We'll see. And
also, a lot of people worried about the Chevy Volt. I guess the Chevy Volt has been the battery, the lithium-ion battery, sometimes after car accidents, sometimes weeks after, is starting a fire. And Chevy is concerned. They want to calm people down. General Motors wants to calm people down. I would need to be calmed down if you told me that 2 weeks after a fender bender, the car might just spontaneously be set on fire.
Pretty bad news for car owners, for Volt owners.
I mean, Lewis was used to that when he was totaling multiple cars when he was going to school in Florida. He was always aware of the possibility that at any time his car might just be on fire.
Or crushed.
Or completely crushed.
I think you get used to that when you're, driving in Central Florida. I think everyone is aware of that.
Right. And Lewis, of course, if you have access to the bonus show archives, going into his story about how once he had to wait 8 hours in a parking lot for Florida police to show up after he totaled. Was that the first or the second accident?
Don't remind me. This was the second accident, which was basically just a fender bender.
Oh, it wasn't a total?
No.
Wow. And it still took 8 hours?
Took 8 hours for the cop to get there, and then about a month in the shop for some reason.
Couldn't you just have said, we need to go? Like, we've been here all day?
Well, I mean, you have to get it sorted out. You need the police report for insurance purposes. I mean, if you leave, you might be doing yourself a major disservice.
Remind me, did you and the other person involved in the altercation go and get something to eat during the 8 hours?
I mean, separately, we just went to a convenience store across the street.
All right, we'll look for that in the archives and join us on today's bonus show. Thanks for being a member. Back in a few days.